Good morning and welcome to Today the News on Vanguard Live. My name is Damnola Ogunshaki and I'm with my co-host
Precious Chukudi.
And of course here on Today in the News we read and give in-depth analysis on some of the stories making waves across Nigeria. And of course this morning we started with the front page of Vanguard newspaper. And on the front page of Vanguard we have 774,000 jobs. National Assembly ignored as Festus Keyamo gets a Buhari's go-ahead. Federal government starts a jobs program, names state committees. National Directorate of Employment boards order to halt alternative plans with National Assembly committees. Of course, you can see these on page 5. Moving on to other stories, on page 7, we have a 15 months after 11 states yet to implement 30,000 naira new minimum wage. On page 7, still on page 7, we have a West African Senior School Certificate Examination. Representative urge Buhari to reverse decision. On page 75, we have a day 7. Panel request procurement files, grills 4 EFCC unit heads. And moving on to the stories above, on page 34, we have those who swallowed Niger Delta Development Commission NDDC funds must cough them out, Akpabio wants. National Assembly in rowdy session over NDDC budget discrepancy of 143 billion naira. And also going to the last on page 11, we have a strike, Sowolu Medical Guild in war of words. And of course, from the front page of Vanguard, move straight to the Punch newspaper.
On the front page of the Punch newspaper, we have a main headline: 774,000 workers recruitment. National Assembly set for hot session as Buhari backs Keyamo. The riders, we have Labour Ministry opens job portal, invite application from job seekers. Buhari tells Keyamo to shun federal legislators is unfortunate. Buhari telling Keyamo to shun federal legislators is unfortunate, says a rep. And Ogun needs 26 billion naira to complete Songo Agbado Highway. You can see more on that story on page 16. And pages 4 and 5, missing Lagos nurse found in Osun Hotel. 54-year-old pastor defiles girl, 10 in Ogun State. On page 7, Ohaneze, IPOP settle rift, Nwodo dismisses Kano threat. And stories above, we have virtual court sitting not unconstitutional, Supreme Court rules. Page 9, you can see more on that story on page 18. COVID-19 cuts off 40% of our revenue, says Oshibajo. And lastly, on the front page of the Punch, we have overall education. Minister of WASC tells Buhari. You can see more on that story on page 8 of the Punch newspaper.
And that's all we have, of course, on the paper review. We'll be going on a short break now, and when we return, go straight to the analysis segment. Alright, welcome back. If you're just joining us, it's Today in the News on Vanguard Live. My name is Damlola Ogushaki and I've been with my co-host,
Precious Chukudi.
And right now, this is the analysis segment. And of course, joining us via Zoom is Mr. Gbenro Oluji-Igbe. He is the Executive Director, Emergency and Risk Alert Former Head, Humanitarian and Resilience, Conflict and Emergency Action Aid, Nigeria. Good morning, Mr. Gbenro.
It's a pleasure being with you. I headed actually conflict and emergency before, but currently I'm the director of emergency and risk alert.
Okay. Thank you for that. And now going straight to, of course, today's news proper. The federal government yesterday said it has kickstarted the special public works program suspended, by the letter. By the National Assembly, despite the National Assembly insistence that the program, be suspended, so they told them to go ahead. What do you think of this whole thing going on now?
Well, let me quickly say that it lies within the purview of the executive to execute, especially its plans for the people, for the state, and for the nation. So it doesn't behold the legislature to have halted it in the first place. But that is not an endorsement for the job itself, because I don't think that is a befitting job, especially when there is no need evaluation that is confirming that that is a job that befits Nigeria in the real sense of it.
So what do you think of the federal government decision?
You said?
What do you think of the federal government decision, to go ahead with it?
There's nothing wrong with the decision. It's constitutional. It's legal. That is the position of law. That is the position of separation of power. It's because of corruption that we are even debating this. It does not concern the National Assembly. What concerns them is to go and oversight the job as it implemented the executive. It doesn't lie within their purview to begin to prognose in what executive run after the budget has been passed. That is not the responsibility of National Assembly. They have three major responsibilities: the duty of representation, the duty of carrying out oversight function, and of course the duty of making law. Those are the three duties of legislators. It's not implementation of executive activities.
Okay.
It's absurd to even be debating this in Nigeria today.
Okay, this is Mr. Gbenro. This is something that's relating to the youth that youth really want to know. So the question is, who is going to implement this? Is it the National Assembly? Who is going to implement the Keyamo?
The law states that a job like this is, of course, must be operationally implemented by National Directorate of Employment under the supervision of Ministry of Labour. In this case, the minister, the two of them, never one that duty is delegated either the Minister of Labour or Minister of State for Labour. So the only thing that the National Assembly do is to wait, and then wait till the commencement of the implementation. They can now call the minister, how are you implementing this? Not planning for them, not handing over things to them. We are debating this today because of corrupting tendency of the legislators who wanted ab initio to hijack the program and run it and begin to dispense paper with it. So they are seeking for power that they are going to use to control people, which is not a just way of implementing a program like this in a country like this.
Okay, so if the ministry headquarters is allowed to implement this program, do you think it will actually be just?
Whether it will be just?
Yes. Do you think? You had mentioning corruption tendency. So if the ministry headquarters actually, implement this program, do you think they will see to it that there's no corruption and they will actually do it right?
I am not in position to guarantee that. What I can guarantee is the position of law on this. What law says is that the implementation of that project falls within the purview of the executive and not the legislature. So whether it will be corruptively implemented is another thing altogether. But what I can say now is that in order not to get it corrupted, when the implementation starts, National Assembly now can begin to engage it in terms of performing their oversight function.
Okay.
And not at the threshold.
Okay, it was said that President Muhammadu Buhari told Keyamo to actually ignore National Assembly and go ahead, with this project. So, what do you think about this itself? This coming from the president.
National Assembly does not deserve any attention in the first place, because what they are doing is amount to interloping. They are just prognosing. They are mere interlopers into executive jurisdiction. That is not what the law says. In fact, they don't have say in it. They have passed the budget. They ought to have asked all the questions when they were passing the budget. That before we approve this, how are you going to run with this? Not after a budget is law. Budget, when appropriation bill is passed into budget, it becomes law. Law must be implemented. In this case, the person that should implement that law is the executive. These are questions. If they are intrusive in their interest, they ought to have asked the question at the level of engaging with the appropriation bill, not when the law has been passed. And it's just like asking the judiciary to go out. I'm interested in this case. Why don't you submit to me how you are going to interpret this law? That is balderdash. That is rubbish. That is even corruption. What they are trying to do is to institutionalize corruption. Nigeria must become equal opportunity employers. You don't need to need a senator before you get job. No. In fact, there is no need to give them a dime out of that job. Not even single position, as far as I'm concerned. All Nigerians, whether you are rich, whether you are poor, you must have equal access, equal opportunity to employment, and not getting employment at the mercy of a senator, at the mercy of a legislator, at the mercy of a minister, at the mercy of a president, or at the mercy of a judge. That is what they have turned this country to. A country where people just sit in position of power to dispense favor, using it as tool and instrument for pressure. That is not a nation under democracy. That is not a nation envisaged by rules of law. That is not a nation envisaged by currency of citizenship.
All right, moving on. Let's talk about the 30,000 new minimum wage. And it's been over a year after the 30,000 naira new minimum wage took effect in Nigeria, and we're still hearing matters arising on implementation of the new minimum wage. What's your take on that? There've been stories here and there. What are you going to blame for the reason for the non-implementation?
Why should we be talking of implementation of law? These are same people, the same governors that always implement their own salary, that always take their own security vote. No, the minimum wage, like I said about budget, is equally a law. You don't have option than to implement it. If you are not doing it, it becomes an impeachable offense for the governor. So there's no hidden place. I have heard most of them are using COVID as alibi for not implementing this. They are doing nothing outside that. Most of them are doing nothing outside that changing the people and the resources available in the name of profit. So we shouldn't even be debating implementation of minimum wage after a year of its passage. Remember, it was passed early last year, and we are still talking of some people are dilly-dallying about its implementation. It is not fair to the workers, and they don't even appreciate the fact that when you refer to people as workers, they are builders of wealth. They are the one that is building the wealth that the nation is talking of. They are the engines behind the policy implementation of any government. And today you are debating whether to pay them the minimum wage or not. It's an insult. of just eat and don't die. It's not a way, it's a wage of survival and not a wage of prosperity. And we should not be discussing about its implementation a year after it has been signed to law.
Okay, I want to ask you, do you think that as a result of this pandemic, it's enough reasons for these states to make excuses and say that they could not, implement it as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic?
The question you should even ask yourself, before COVID, what were they doing? Were they resourceful? Do they think outside the box? What are they doing outside looting in the country? Those are the questions you should have asked yourself. I'm just saying that this COVID has become umbrella for their excuse. It has become a cannon fodder for their inefficiency. That is what is playing out. Using it as a library for everything. If you ask them why they are not constructing roads, they say this COVID is causing problems, they are spending on it. Road abandoned, every infrastructural project abandoned because of COVID. Is that how a nation will grow? Then ask them, are they not taking their own security goals even when there is COVID? And what are they doing about that COVID? That is the first question you should even engage. Almost 2 months after the first incident case was recorded, only 3 states had isolation centers. The rest gallivanting around. So now COVID has become their default response to inefficiency.
Okay, now moving on to other stories. We're talking about schools, talking about COVID, and you're talking about schools. So, House of Representatives, as they urged President Muhammadu Buhari to reverse the decision of the Federal Ministry of Education to bar Nigerian secondary schools, from writing WAEC and other common entrance examinations. So, what do you think about this? What's your take on it?
My take on it is that the federal government has not the national response mechanism of federal government is not a thoughtful one. For example, in issue of resumption of education, the question is that have you carried out the mapping of the vulnerability of the children? Based on research you have done, evidence that you have gathered that students cannot read. Then if you have carried out the vulnerabilities, then what areas can you intervene to reduce risk to the children or to reduce their vulnerability? When you have done that, now this comes in form of what you are going to put in place to ensure they are not infected. In terms of the protocol, then that committee must children. For example, restlessness. They are restless, they can't sit for long hours. Why don't you look for a way for how children, the school time, if they close by 12 to the people, better to close by 12 now. Streamline those who are coming there. And most importantly, whether the federal government has failed it, that one kind of examination has to is a sub-regional institution. You have Ghana, you have Syria alone, you have it. But Nigeria is supposed of these countries, of the leaders of this country. Look, we have a global problem. We have this problem. Why don't we shift examination to October or November? So that by that we know.
Okay, so now, withdrawing them, withdrawing them from this WAEC now. Withdrawing them from WAEC, do you actually think this will have a negative effect on the the educational system in Nigeria?
It's ruptured already now. You have students.
Okay, we're sorry for that. I think there's a break in transmission. I was really enjoying that. So I think we're talking about the school, WAEC and press and this. So.
The first semester, and their admission pending right now. That was, I think, March. Examination, those who are potential undergraduates to 100 levels, they are still there. When people resume 100 level, it's up with Sierra Leone, Gambia, and begin to engage wide so that they can host that by September or October, or we step on issues. Okay, let's put it exam on October, why they can in November conduct their stand want to do that. Of putting your hand and right of COVID. That is strategy. That is leadership impotence. That is thoughtlessness. It's not expected of a minister to say that, to do that. If COVID persists for 10 years, won't like on. So we should remember an ultimate solution to COVID is for scholarship, it's about research, it's about innovation and finding. Other places, if they don't go to school, how is research going to be conducted?
Mr. Pero,
This time, if you make a statement as minister.
okay, Mr. Pero, we've seen the cases of some countries opening schools, and because of the cases increasing, they had to close it back. So, but do you think Nigeria now, if they are asked to open, are they ready to open correctly?
I think we should. If Nigeria is not ready, that means that they are not ready for anything. We have not been ready for anything in terms of development. But let me shock you. Why government is never ready is because you have indolent people. Is the common is the fate of every indolent for their rights to become prey to the active. The condition upon which God has given liberty to man is eternal vigilance. Nigerians don't demand accountability from their leaders. Nigeria don't put pressure on their leaders to perform. Look at the response to COVID now. You don't even know where you are. Everybody is taking it as a joke, something as serious as this. And it's because of the way government has taken the response. So it is not a matter whether government say that they're not ready to do. It's a lie. What are they doing to resume? That was what we should be hearing. That we have put this in place so that our children will not be infected, and that these are the strategy. We are going to the disruption will be spread in terms of classes, maybe 2 classes or exam classes resume now. Next one, maybe JS2 and 1 and 2 resume. Such thing can be worked out so that the protocol could be maintained. Protocol of social distance, protocol of washing hands, and of course of minimal interaction between teachers and students. So there are options, but what they are saying now is that they are helpless and they can't do anything about that. But life not waiting for any country, it's not waiting for any people. Others are moved and they have moved on with online learning, online teaching, elsewhere. Life is going on. So we must not be helpless. There must be alternative. For example, you can even front load what you want to teach these students today through WhatsApp. Encourage the family, those who don't have, whose parents have no compliant phone.
But do you think this will work? Mr. Vero, do you think this will work?
Do I think
it will work? Yes.
No, that is not a thought of a leader. Do I think it's a work? It's not the thought of a leader. What we should be thinking is how to make it work. How to make it work. When we begin to say that, do you think it will work? Do you think it will work? As anything, this is the question we've asked ourselves for 60 years and nothing is working.
All right.
Why is it working elsewhere?
All right, Mr. Buhari, let's talk about the NDDC. And Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Godswill Akpabio, says he's not satisfied with what's happening in Niger Delta because of the money that is coming to NDDC is being hijacked by some people. What are your thoughts on that?
Who are those people? Are we not hearing what is going on? Is Akpabio himself clean? These are shameful people that should not even occupy any position based on what we have known about them. These are people facing criminal charges in terms of financial improprieties under EFCC. 10 say that 30 contracts on ISET, clearing of ISET on water, were given to Akpabio. If that is, then what are we talking about? You can't go to equity with your own hand deep in oil. So if you have to come to equity, your hands must be clean. So all that should be done about Niger Delta, they have lamented for a very long time, but astonishingly, I have expressed it, Nigeria has dug an open grave for Niger Delta, but their own people, their own airlines are covering them here with mud.
Okay,
so they have been dumped into open.
Okay, Mr. Benro. Hello, Mr. Benro, are you still with us?
People are covering them with mud of the place. So they are talking of forensic audits. But those carrying out forensic audits are equally forensic thieves, like we have had in the last 1 week. Can you imagine interim management committee set up to carry out audit on Niger Delta, boldly telling the National Assembly that they paid themselves 1.5 billion naira as palliative for COVID. The question is that are they vulnerable? Are they part of those who should enjoy such humanitarian gesture? Do they belong to the class? This is the shenanigan that is going on in NDDC, and the entire Niger Delta. It's a conundrum. What you have is a conundrum of irresponsible leaders placed in NDDC to carry out development here.
Okay, Mr. Graham, I want to ask you, what's your take on the issue between Joy Nune and Godswill Akpabio on sexual harassment? You know, they granted different interviews, you know, talking about what each of them had done and all of that.
I hardly talk on the issue of adults, because if you listen to the woman, I think I'm intelligent enough to put one or two things together. The question is this: if she was asked a question, when he was asked that question on Arise Television, she said that I think Ruben Abati called it. Is it rape? He said it's not rape. Harassment? He said that sounds better. So why is it coming up with that now? I think they should focus on the development of Niger Delta. All of them, I don't want to know about their personal challenges and problems. Both of them are lawyers. If you are unduly, somebody wants to use power and control to influence or to dictate, to enforce illegal sexual demand on you, you can go to court. If she will slap somebody as she claims, why don't you go to court? That means she's strong enough to fight for herself. But let us talk of people that cannot fight for themselves. The poor people of Niger Delta who have been changed over the years. So if assuming that things went well between her and Akpabio, we won't hear all this. Do you know what is going on in the country among themselves? It's because this one fell apart that we are having most of this. That is not concern. Whether it's harassment, if you are a woman that is a lawyer, that is an adult, that is courageous to slap your harasser, then face your case yourself and stop bothering society. Go ahead and do that. The man is a wayward act. It shouldn't be tolerated in the first place. But that is in the realm of conjecture, as they could not bring out all their own evidence. So if they have evidence, let them go to court with that.
Okay.
Our own concern is what is happening to the development of Niger Delta, what is happening to the corporate development of Nigeria. That is what we want to see, and not the shenanigans about phony harassment that is not neither here nor there in terms of being evidential.
Okay. Lastly, let's look at this COVID-19 update in Nigeria, in Lagos, rather. You know, so they recorded 128 new infections. I know we're talking about in the medical guild, Sanwo-Olu, you know, a medical guild in War of Words, and you know, still in strike. And now this is just months into the pandemic, and we're talking about the doctors going on strike. Also, in another state, doctors tested positive to COVID-19. What do you actually think is going on? Where are they getting it wrong?
Yes, I think listening I love the appeal of the governor, but it should go beyond appeal and pay. They should lack nothing in terms of their allowances, prompt payment of allowances, especially at this particular perilous time.
Okay.
So they should quickly, it's a 3-day warning strike, they should be called together, discuss with them on how to resolve this. But you have seen that strike in most places where even governors are irresponsibly telling the doctors that if they go, they will sack them. How does that help the situation? Is that a way of industrial resolution? When there is industrial dispute, I think government should be courageous in to meet his or her shortcoming, why the doctors do within the context of this time should be reasonable enough to know that, of course, humanity should take precedence. In every humanitarian intervention, primacy of life is those two, like I've said, they are human beings. Health workers are human beings. They should be encouraged and they should be supported. That's my take on that.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Gbenga Olujuibe, the former head of Humanitarian and Resilience Conflict and Emergency Action Aid Nigeria, and now Executive Director, Emergency and Risk Alerts. Thanks for sharing your knowledge with us.
It's a pleasure being with you.
Okay, and that's all we have for you on Today in the News. Don't forget that you can always like and follow us on our social media platforms that are showing on your screen, or visit our website www.vanguardngra.com to get more of our top stories. It's bye from me, Damilola Obushaki, and from my co-host.
Precious Chukudi is bye from us. Thank you for watching.